right, guys. This is Coinology, the very first session. I am Ebony Porter Ike. I am the certified deal closer. And if you guys could please invite your friends, invite your colleagues, try to get as many people to join in as possible. I want to make sure that these sessions are as interactive as possible. I don't want this to be me just talking at you. I want you guys to be able to add in some of your questions down below. And then let's have some fun with this as well as we're learning some new techniques. One of the key things I want to make sure that everybody understands, because I got a lot of emails, texts, phone calls about Coinology. Coinology is not a one-day course. It's not a one-day event. This is going to be a series of sessions. We will be going through this every week, preferably Thursday at the same time, unless I have some type of event or affair that I have to attend that I may have to change that day or time. But otherwise, let's try to keep it at this date and time, and I'll let you know well in advance if I'm not going to be able to make this time. Okay, so we have at least 10 people on, so we'll go ahead and get started. Today is our first session. I am very thankful for you guys for joining. And then let your friends know who missed today that this will be archived on my website, and they'll be able to go back and catch on because we will be building every week on top of the principles that we learn each week. My goal is that we're not just here for entertainment, but we're actually here to learn, that we're actually here to increase our overall revenue and learn new techniques. If there's something that I could do different, if there's something that you want to see more of or less of, definitely shoot me an email at ebony@epimediagroup.com. One of the reasons why I decided to start this series was because I actually own a PR and marketing and branding firm. And I get a lot of inquiries. A lot of people are interested in working with our firm, but they may not actually have the budget just yet to be able to bring us on. And so I wanted these sessions to be able to help the startup entrepreneur, because one of the biggest things I tell people is you don't want to acquire a PR firm too early. You may not even need a PR or a marketing and branding firm exactly where you are in your career, but everybody needs to be able to brand themselves properly, and everybody needs to be able to go after their client base that they are targeting. So Coinology is all about that. Today we're going to talk about how to best build your confidence level, how being yourself can actually help you increase your revenue. One of the biggest issues I typically find with most entrepreneurs is that they're not being themselves. They're trying to emulate something they've seen someone else do. They try to be somebody that they think that the customer wants to see. They try to be something that they heard from school or from family members that this is the way that it's supposed to be, versus creating their own path. And what I will tell you is that for myself, what has been successful for me is when I've created my own path. I've done a lot of things in my career, from corporate America to starting multiple businesses, and right now leading a PR marketing branding firm that I'm extremely proud of. We have great client lists, great results, and a lot of that has come from us having a strong background and belief in what we need to do. Our say-do ratio, when we say we're going to do it, we're actually going to deliver on it. But the other piece of that is finding the right client. Every client, every deal, every opportunity isn't for you. And you have to be okay with that, right? You have to know who you are. And once you know who you are and you're good with who you are, then you can start building your client base around that. I had a consultation the other day with someone who is looking to go into a very conservative industry, and they wanted to be like everyone in that industry, and just everyone in that industry didn't look like them, didn't come from the same social background, didn't have the same experiences, but they wanted to pretend to be just like everyone else in the industry. And I immediately told them that would not be well received. The people who would typically go to you to hire you for your services will be going to you because you are that niche. You are that different piece within the industry that they haven't seen before. You have to find out why is it that somebody would want to go to you. And if they are going to you because you're different, then you need to be true to the fact that you're different, and you build your marketing plan around that. So let's say that your overall marketing strategy, or let's say that your industry is selling cakes, and let's say you're baking cakes and you're a baker, but you want to be a hip hop baker. Your biggest thing is that you need to be able to find that audience, build your product around that audience, and deliver a product that the hip-hop audience would want. Right now, there isn't anybody that's solely focusing on that particular target audience. And so you would end up getting a large amount of people or a large amount of clientele specifically because no one else is actually in that space. So the key thing is finding out what is your niche, being honest to what that is, and delivering a product that's around that. So one of the first things that we want to talk about is finding out what that is for you. So this week, I want you to actually go back and I want you to take some notes about what is it? Who am I? What are some of the things about who I am and the products that I'm bringing that make me different from everybody else? If your answers aligned with the exact same thing that your competitors are doing, then you have failed the assignment. And I'm going to say that again. You must go back and ask yourself, what are you going to offer, and what is it about you that makes you different from your competitors? See, each of us are born different. None of us are the same. None of us speak the same. None of us have the same outcomes. None of us have the same desires. But we go through life and we're taught this is right, this is wrong. And through life, we start to assimilate. And so through that assimilation, you begin to be like everyone else, and you start to forget about what are those things that make you different, what are those things that make you special. And so as we become adults that are trying to build our own businesses, we begin to forget that these are the things that we are specialized in. These are the things that make us different. This is the thing that make people drawn to us. And most of the people that you find that are very, very, very successful are people who have found that inner passion, that thing that makes them different, that thing that makes them stand out from their competitors and their peers. So again, your task for this week is to identify the things that make you different, the things that make you stand out from your competition. The next piece is your life journey always leads you where you're supposed to be. One of the biggest things that I always question is, why did it take me so long to figure this out? I wish I had made this decision a little bit earlier. And you beat yourself up about some of the decisions that you have made in life. But one of the things that I began to realize is that every single decision, every single path that I went on led me to the decisions to be right where I am right now. And right where I am right now is a place of happiness, is a place of confidence. I can actually walk into a room and be clear about what my objective is and not question whether or not I'm ready or whether or not I can handle a situation because of the level of experiences that I've had during life. So one of the things I would say is stop questioning your life journey. Don't allow your decisions or some of the negative things that you've probably been through to keep you from feeling confident and being able to go after what you want. Allow those things to be things to help build you up. Allow those things to be things that help you feel more confident when you walk into the room. Because I will tell you, one of the key things that come through when I first enter the room is my level of confidence. And when your client or your potential client or the person that you're potentially going into business with sees that you're confident in what you're talking about, confident in your manner, confident in the way that you deliver your message, they will be confident in closing that deal. So that's the first thing you want to make sure that you start to develop. And confidence doesn't come overnight. So I'm not saying that after tonight you'll write down some notes and then next week you're going to be confident. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is one of the key areas for success in developing your plan for closing deals is developing a strong level of confidence. All right. The next thing that we need to talk about is how to be successful and stand out from your competition. Okay, we hit on that a little bit earlier. But one of the key things about that is, have you studied your competition? And do you know exactly your competitors as far as the ones that have done extremely well and those who have not? And it's important to do that. If you go into any industry and you have not thoroughly studied your competition, you're setting yourself up for a huge miss. The other piece that you want to make sure that you're doing is also you're studying your target. You need to make sure that when you're walking into these meetings, you know exactly who you're talking to and that you know exactly what it is that you want from these individuals. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is going to any meeting, if it's with your competitor or if it's with a potential client or with a business partner, and not know who you're talking to. From that point, you're already setting yourself up at a disadvantage. Your confidence level will fall, and then your ability to effectively close that deal you'll completely lose out on that. So make sure that you do your homework before walking into any situation. If it's closing a deal on a house, if it's actually acquiring a new retail space, whatever it is, make sure that you've done your research. Because one of the things I tell people at all times, when you're at the table, there's someone that is serving up a meal, which means they're going to be ate or you're going to be doing the eating. So you have to choose if you're going to be the meal or if you're going to be eating. But nobody walks away from the table. Both people aren't eating at the table when you're closing a deal. And you have to remember that. So you have to go into it strategically. If you walk away from the table and it was too easy when you got up and walked away, 9 times out of 10, you were the meal. And you just got. So make sure you are very aware of your surroundings and who you're going into business with or who you're going into conversation with. The next thing is think about things that come pretty easy to you. Those things that come really easy to you are things that are extremely profitable for you. We tend to think that we have to think of something complex, and we tend to think that we have to create something that no one else has ever said or done in order to be extremely profitable. What you have to do is come up with a solution in the market that makes life easier for your potential audience or clients or your business partner. But it doesn't have to be hard. And I think that's the problem when you are working too hard at being too complex. You lose out because you're not really sure about what it is you're going after, and it comes across in everything you do. So again, think about things that come easy to you. I remember when I first started in PR, I ran from fashion and beauty projects. I kept getting calls left and right from people in the beauty and fashion industry, and I just wanted to continue to stick with things in the complex world, M&A, mergers and acquisitions, technology, legal aspects. I wanted to do things that I had done for the past 13, 14 years that showed the complexity of my brain and the acrobats of my brain. But the individuals that kept calling me A lot was the folks in entertainment, the folks in beauty, the folks in fashion. And I had to realize that the truth of the matter is I've always been a fashion glam girl since the beginning of time. And those things, it came out and it exuded into who I was, and I attracted that. And those things came back and it attracted me. And then when I decided to give in to what was attracted to me, my business flourished in ways that I couldn't imagine, because I began to accept that that is who I am, and there's nothing wrong with being who I am, enjoying who I am, and embracing that. And when I decided that that was okay, it became very obvious to everyone around me that I was very confident in that space. So I will just definitely tell you, it's very important for you to find what are the things that come easy to you. And those things are attracted to you, and you become attracted to it. And don't be afraid, don't be ashamed, and don't run from it. Those are the areas that your inner spirit, your universe, your God is sending to you and saying this is your area of expertise. One of the other things about finding your passion is that you must continue to be authentic. One of the things that your client or your business partner or whomever you're dealing with will immediately pick up on is fakeness. So if you're at the table and you're trying to be like someone that you saw last week, if you're at the table and you're trying to emulate a professor that you saw in class before, if you're trying to emulate anyone else besides being yourself, it comes across. And when people figure out that this person isn't being authentic, they're being fake, they begin to not trust you. And people don't close deals with individuals that they don't trust. That's just point blank and clear. If they feel that you have an ulterior motive, that you're not being honest in what you're saying, they begin to believe that your say-do ratio is off. And at the end of the day, they're not going to close with you. So one of the things I will tell you is be authentic. Don't try to build your business off of what you've seen someone else do. If you are, I was speaking with a young lady a few months ago, and she's also in the same field that I'm in. We're both in PR. But her area, she's an athlete. She's built straight like an athlete. Her body is perfect. And but she's doing something outside of the field of sports, and I'm wondering why. Clearly, when people see her, the first thing they're going to think of is sports and athletics. But she's on a whole nother trail of that. And so the bottom line is, I think she's going to end up finding her way back over to that space. But really, her calling in that arena of PR is probably sports, public relations, or, anything in that area, because those people are automatically going to be attracted to her. Just as I mentioned before, the people in beauty and fashion and so forth being in entertainment being attracted to me, those are the things that are going to be attracted to her. And so again, you got to get to that point where you're confident and you're okay with that. Okay. The next thing I wanted to share with you guys is that no one can be a better you than yourself. A lot of times we get so concerned about, oh, that was my idea first, and why is it that I'm seeing someone else emulate this and all that. Listen, you are you. You can't get caught up in everybody else and then you start becoming bitter. The first thing that your client and or business partner will be able to, or business colleague, a person across the table from you can pick up on, is bitterness. I will not share how many times I've been at the table with individuals and the conversation goes negative really fast. Again, when you're closing the deal, there should not be any negative discussion about your peers. There should not be any negative discussion about your competition. You should always be very positive and supportive of who they are and then continue to go and grow yourself. So whether you close the deal with that particular client or not, the bottom line is always be positive. Leave the table knowing that you did your best and not throw your competition under the table. Because it's a small industry. Everybody talks. It will get back to that individual, but at the end of the day, it's very, very important that you leave the table as a professional with your head held high and showing that you are confident in who you are, regardless of whether or not you were hired for the job or the next person. Okay? One of the things we talked about a little bit earlier was confidence. And again, being authentic is something that requires confidence. And that's something that takes time because, again, through life, we've had different things that we may have experienced that maybe have caused us to lack our area of confidence. And the key thing is a lot of times we've been told by family members that we're not good enough. Maybe we've tried to start businesses in the past and those businesses have failed. You know, it could be a lot of different reasons to why you may lack confidence and what it is that you do. But I will tell you that you need to leave those things aside. In a romantic relationship, when you bring those baggage or you bring the baggage to the table, it will stop you from being successful in whatever it is that you want to do or what you're trying to acquire to do. So one of the things I will tell you is stop thinking about all of your disappointments and what people have said about you, and start thinking about what it is that you're trying to do. I don't care if you're 20 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years. It's never too late to go after your dream. I come across people all the time that tell me, hey, you know, I'm 45, I'm 50, I'm 60, and they feel like that's and it's not. Let me tell you, you need to go after whatever it is that God has for you at that moment, at that time, and keep pushing. Remember that one of the things I learned very early on is that distractions or disappointments are not necessarily a negative thing. Those are just things that have redirected your path, that have allowed you to change direction and that put you on the path of where you are right now to continue to grow and to continue to go. So one of the key things that I want to make sure that we talk about today is confidence. And being you, whenever you walk into the room, you have to be okay with whatever flaws you have, whatever issues that you may have had in the past. Whatever those things are, you have to learn that those are things that will always be there, and you have to be okay with that. Again, when you walk into a room and you sit at the table, all those things come across in the way that you interact with the people sitting across from you at the table. And people don't close with individuals that aren't sure about who they are, because if they're not sure about who they are, they're sure not going to be able to deliver on the whatever product that it is or services that you are offering to your potential client. Okay, so I know I see some comments here. Thank you so much for guys for joining. I want to make sure that anybody have any questions for me today about being you and profitability of that, and the first blog that was released this week. Because what we're going to be doing is once a week I will release a new blog posting with a small little assignment, and then that same week we will have a Facebook live session. We'll talk a little bit more about whatever it is that we blogged about. But again, we will be building on the principles on top of them. So I know that in the first week you're not going to be completely prepared to go in and step in and close that deal out. But I want to continue to have discussions that will continue to help you build in that right direction. Again, if you have questions for me that I was not able to answer for you, please feel free to email me. My email address is Ebony, EBONY, as Ebony with a Y, at epimediagroup.com. Again, my goal is to make sure that we're all set up for success. I know that everybody's business is not necessarily in a position to be able to acquire my services or the services of our business, but I want to make sure that everybody has the right tools in their toolkit to be successful out there. And then once you do have the funds, you'll think about picking up the phone and giving me a call. But I definitely want to make sure that you guys have what you need. Any other questions that I can answer before we close out on the Facebook Live session for this week? Hey, Ebony, I'm late. We'll have to go back and watch them again. Yes. Hi, Marcy. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much for joining. Valencia, I saw you. Pastor Chappelle, MD Styles, Quincy Griggs, Tina. I've seen all of you guys. Do me a favor, please. My husband and I are working on starting. Hey, definitely give me a call. And this is the key thing. There's going to be key nuggets each week that I will share with you. I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information at once, because most people know when you get a lot of information coming at you at one time, you're less likely to be able to activate those key skills. And I want to make sure that we're taking our time. There's no rush, that we walk through this together, and that we are successful. If there's something that I've mentioned today that isn't clear, again, email me, Facebook me, inbox me, let me know so I can give you a little bit more clarity on where we are. Share this session. Please tell your friends and your business colleagues about it. I'm looking forward to us doing this every single week. But tell them that they will need to watch this session, and then, the sessions on top of that, because, again, we're going to be building on top of the principles every single week. I would like to say thank you so much for joining. Please share, and I will see you guys next week. Take care.